What is going on, everybody? It's the France. I'm here for a Monday Night Raw review for September the 7th, 2020, on our way to Clash of Champions. And before we get to Monday Night Raw, news came out that Raw Creative is in a tailspin. Whoever is watching over the Monday Night Raw Creative has not been doing as good a job as when Paul Heyman was there, as Vince McMahon did not see this script for Monday Night Raw until he got on the corporate plane to fly to Orlando for tonight's Raw. That's ridiculous. The show should be written. Honestly, creative should have had every single week for this month done in August. And when they get to by SummerSlam or Payback, whichever one you want to go with, and the night after Payback, they're working on September, and then September gets done, then you work on October. And of course, yes, you have to have a couple of, fallback plans in case an injury happens, somebody ends up doing something, they get suspended, something stupid happens. But no, they do this thing week to week, and Vince McMahon doesn't even get the script until this morning. We didn't get any matches announced for this show until about 70 minutes before the show went on the air. What did they announce? Kevin Owens versus Aleister Black in Raw Underground. Not a match on Raw, a match on Raw Underground. Also, Randy Orton versus Keith Lee, again, for the third time in 3 weeks. Another Randy Orton versus Keith Lee match. Wow. And Dominic is taking on Murphy in a match. Later on, made a street fight because WWE is trying to hide. I see why WWE keeps putting Dominic in street fights and tag team matches and non-singles matches by itself, simply because he's fresh, he's new. They want to hide his weaknesses because the boy's going to have weaknesses on his own. Now, I think it's time that Dominic's family, Angie, Aaliyah, aren't seen there anymore. Especially Aaliyah. Please take her off television. Not because it's her fault or anything, because there's a lot of creeps. And I mean a lot of creeps in the wrestling community, wrestling fan community, because my God, it's just terrible that you would just see people just falling all over for this young girl, this young woman who's just turned 18 or 19 this year, and it just all the disgusting, how disgusting it is. It's just disgusting to see everybody. I'm 30 years old. I'm just gonna say that right now. People my age wanting to try and hook up with Aaliyah. It's just pathetic. People need to get the fuck off over themselves. It's not going to happen. Calm the fuck down. But yeah. That match was the main event tonight. And Aaliyah, Dominic, Rey Mysterio, who has got a torn triceps, he's not going to be wrestling for a very long time. And Angie were all out there for the match. The only reason I see them bringing Rey, Angie, and Aaliyah around for Dominic is Dominic's turning on them eventually. It only makes sense. They show support for this guy. He feels smothered. He wants to go out on his own. His family won't let him. He wants to do things his way. Rey Mysterio wants to do things the right way. And Dominic just gets fed up with it. Turns on his father. Beats the living hell out of him. I know the torn tricep kind of derailed what their plans probably were for this match. But hopefully Rey Mysterio is going to be back in time for WrestleMania, because that's when I think the turn's going to happen. They're just going to keep doing this. You're going to keep seeing the Mysterio family. And eventually Dominic's just going to get fed up because he wants to be his own man. And right now he is sitting in his father's shadow. I mean, his father might be half his size, but he has a pretty big gas shadow to get out of. And Dominic wants to get out of that shadow, and the only way that happens is he has to end his father's career at WrestleMania, if that's possible. If it's not possible, it would have to be SummerSlam next year, but that would suck because that means that the Mysterio being around all the time would be just around too much. Now, I don't want to see Mysterio's and Seth Rollins and Murphy anymore. Tonight needed to be the last match. There is no problem in having Dominic go up against some floozy from the Performance Center that he can just beat down and beat just to make him look good. They can do jobber matches, but they don't want to do jobber matches, and it's just ridiculous. The guy, it's like, we've seen him in two street fights, a tag team match, and what else? He's had, this was his 5th match tonight. He had a street fight, a tag team match that didn't go well, another tag team match, and whatever he had with Seth Rollins last week. And then this. So, yeah, Dominic, it's time to move these guys away from Seth Rollins and let Seth Rollins, because the Seth Rollins gimmick, the whole Monday Night Messiah thing has kind of, it's run its course. WWE never booked it right. They never built on it. Like, they had no faith in it. They're like, yeah, sure, Seth, we'll let you do this thing, but we're not going to plan for you to do anything. And honestly, I think it's time they figure something else out for Seth Rollins and Murphy. Get to the eventual, as we know it's going to happen. It always happens this way. Buddy Murphy turns on Seth Rollins, takes back his freedom from Seth. They have a match, and then Seth ends up losing, as that should be, or Buddy loses, whatever. But let's get to the Monday Night Raw. By the way, you could tell through this entire night that Vince McMahon wrote this script at the deadline, which is 7:59. Maybe, just maybe, and I don't know this for a fact yet, maybe find this out probably tomorrow, guarantee you this script did not get finished till 9 o'clock in the afternoon. 9 o'clock at night. That's the latest I think that would happen. Now, Orton goes, oh, by the way, Michael Cole's on commentary tonight, so that was a plus. Because I want to sit there and listen to Michael Cole on SmackDown and Raw. They gave us no reason why Tom Phillips was gone for this week. Michael Cole was filling in for him. At least Samoa Joe was there, so that kind of alleviated it a little bit. He is still good at what he does. Orton rants about earning his WWE title shot from Drew McIntyre and having to face Lee again tonight. He addresses Drew in their match at Clash of Champions, which will happen if Drew is medically cleared. And he said to Drew, if somebody asked why he wouldn't make it, well, the simple answer is because I kicked your head and fractured your jaw. And we see a replay of the big screen. Orton goes on and suggests if he is not medically cleared, you have to hand the championship over to Randy Orton. As you figured he would say that. This is Randy Orton. Then we hear sirens, and of course, you know, the Scott Steiner's memes have to go off everywhere because that's his entrance music. And see an ambulance pull into the arena next to the stage, and out comes Drew McIntyre. He hits the ring, leveling Orton with a claymore. He unloads on Orton as the referees hit the ring and then check on Orton. Backing Drew away, Drew's music starts back up as he stares Orton down on the ramp. Drew turns and marches to the back while Orton slowly recovers in the ring. He stops and looks at Orton again before heading to the back. Here's my problem with this. Randy Orton, 2 weeks ago, kicked Drew McIntyre in the head, not once, not twice, but 3 times. He's supposed to have a fractured jaw, bleeding on the brain, and he's recovered in 2 weeks. They couldn't even hold him off till Clash of Champions. I mean, it would still be kind of unbelievable, but if he would have missed 4 weeks of television and then we didn't see him till the pay-per-view, that would have been the time to have. You could have had Orton in the ring at Clash of Champions wanting the referee to count, or like, raise my hand, I win by forfeit, and then before the referee does anything or the ring announcer announces anything, then you hear the sirens, the siren of the ambulance, and Drew McIntyre comes out and we have our match. That's what they should have done. Not have Drew McIntyre come back this week. No. That just takes away from whatever. That takes away the seriousness of the situation that happened when Randy Orton kicked his head not once, not twice, but 3 times. Lazy fucking booking by WWE. They never book this shit right. The Hurt Business is backstage walking in a video, talking about a video from earlier today. They stop and MVP accuses a random janitor for saying something about Shelton Benjamin's mother. They bully the guy as the United States champion. Bobby Lashley shoves him against the wall by his throat. They bully the guy some more, and MVP hits him with a low blow. They fix their suits, and they keep walking. Yeah, how's that anti-bullying segment going, WWE? Not much here. The Hurt Business versus Apollo Crews, Ricochet, and Cedric Alexander. We go to the ring for six-man action. Out comes Apollo. He poses in the corner. Then we go to commercial. Back from break, and we see Drew McIntyre talking backstage with WWE producer Adam Pearce, who they might as well just give him the title of Raw and SmackDown Commissioner or GM, because he's doing all of that anyway. Just make it official. Say Adam Pearce is the GM or the Commissioner. I mean, why the fuck not? He sees more airtime than any other producer. Drew says he will be at Clash of Champions, hurt jaw or not. Pearce says Drew's jaw is why he's on the shelf tonight. And with everything else going on, he can't have Drew running around while hurt. He asks Drew to respectfully leave. Drew tells him to relax and agrees, noting that he already did what he needed to do. Walks off, and Pearce tells security to stay on their toes when it comes to other potential guests tonight. We go back to the ring, and out comes Cedric to join Ricochet and the Hurt Business. MVP Shelton Benjamin and the United States Champion Bobby Lashley come from behind and beat this man down. They beat him down. They head to the ring as Ricochet and Crews check on their partner. The bell rings. We have a match. It doesn't go very long. Crews looks to tag in Ricochet. Cedric Alexander suddenly pulls Ricochet off the apron, throws him into the barricade. Crews is shocked to see what happens. Shelton comes from behind, but Crews fights him off. Cedric hits the ring, drops Crews with the lumbar check, and the fake blues get louder. MVP is thrilled. The Hurt Business look at Cedric, but he looks down at Crews. Shelton ends up putting Crews away for the pin in the win. And the Hurt Business not only win, but get another member of the group. Here's my thing. This should have happened a week or two ago. They just prolonged it. And I think I'm not the only one who says this. Everyone has said the Hurt Business needed a younger guy. Somebody to benefit from a Bobby Lashley, a Shelton Benjamin, and an MVP. Every one of these guys made their debuts before 2010. So to have Cedric Alexander turn heel, Cedric Alexander join the Hurt Business, that is great. Hopefully, this will do wonders for him. Hopefully, when he eventually gets turned on by the Hurt Business and they beat him down and kick him out because he wins or he gets a match for something like maybe him and Bobby Lashley get a championship, like maybe he gets a world title match. Maybe he gets a WWE championship match against Randy Orton or Drew McIntyre, and the Hurt Business is not happy about that. So they beat him down and they kick him out, and hopefully they do it right to the point where Cedric Alexander becomes a bigger star than he already was. That's just me. Hopefully that's what we're going to get, but knowing WWE, they'll botch this just like they botch everything else. After the match, Cedric all smiles. He stands on the apron. The Hurt Business stand in the ring facing him while Crews and Ricochet are checked on by referees. We go to replays and see what happens. The Hurt Business stand tall in the ring, applauding him. He never did join the group at this time. Street Profits versus Angel Garza and Andrade again. Again. How many times do we have to have this match? Well, this is going to be the last time. As this match, again, was another short match. Vega and Garza are arguing at ringside for a few minutes as Andrade fails to mount a comeback in the ring. This leads to Dawkins loving Andrade. Ford goes to the top and hits the frog splash for the big win. After the match, Garza is already on the ramp. He is gone. He is done. Mouthing back at Vega as the Profits music hits. We go to replays after Ford kicks Andrade out of the ring. There's more argument between the two sides as Garza storms off to the back. Music suddenly hit, and out comes the SmackDown Tag Team Champions Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro. The Street Profits look on from the ring, and we go to commercial break with Cole wondering if the Brand to Brand Invitational is back. Yes, it is, and apparently It's quarterly. Quarterly. What the fuck does that mean? So wait. Let's see. Last quarter. Wait, when was the last time they did the Brand Invitational? In quarter 2? It was during COVID. It was during this COVID time. And I think it was right after WrestleMania they did it. So it would be Q2. And they had AJ come to SmackDown, but he eventually got traded to SmackDown. You had remember Baron Corbin versus Drew McIntyre? How fun that was? My goodness, that was terrible. Then you had Charlotte on SmackDown 3 times. Charlotte going on all 3 brands at one time, which was annoying. The only thing that I can say about this is that because they come out, we go to commercial break, and they make a challenge for next week. Champion versus champion. Unless that match is a title for title, winner take all, winner will become the WWE World Tag Team Champions, ending both of these title matches. I don't know. I'm just saying, do not have this match unless it's going to be champion versus champion, winner take all. We're going to unify the titles because let's think. Monday Night Raw just lost the AOP because the AOP got released. Garza and Andrade breaking up. You have the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders and a combination of the Hurt Business. That is it. SmackDown has Heavy Machinery, Miz and Morrison, and Cesaro and Nakamura, and the Lucha House Party for now. If you merge those 2 divisions together, that's a 7-team division right now. When the Usos and the New Day are back from injury, that's 9 teams right there. That's a better division than having these 2 divisions together. Like, split up. Give me a fucking break. Give us 1 division. It's just not enough to do 2 divisions. It makes no sense any other reason. So yes, like I said, they make the challenge. They accept. Next week we're gonna have champion versus champion on Monday Night Raw. What does this mean for SmackDown? When are we gonna see the brand invitational going to SmackDown? I don't know. I guess the reason they stepped away from it for a while is because you had Bayley and Sasha Banks holding all the gold for a number of weeks, and they didn't want to do a brand invitational at all because you already had Bayley and Sasha Banks on every single brand for like 2 or 3 months. That's the only thing I can think of. 24/7 R-Truth, 24/7 I-95, 7-Eleven, you're Continental Champion R-Truth, talking some shit backstage. Akira Tozawa appears with a referee. Truth tries to talk the title into an invisible friend, but it's hit by the ground. He later recovers it. He fights the ninja off, runs away in the desert car with the ninjas under it, and he's the title. Tozawa and the referee chase them, and that's all we see for that. Billie Kay versus Peyton Royce. Everybody remembers last week the Moronics were forced to break up due to match stipulation. Then in Raw Underground, Peyton Royce threw Billie Kay into Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke. She got destroyed, and we come to tonight's match. May I ask, what the fuck was that goddamn entrance for Peyton Royce? Is she trying to be a superhero with that posing and every shit, things that she did at the top of the ramp? That was just so dumb. But if WWE really cared about the Moronics, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, why is this match happening now? Why is this match not happening on the go-home show to Clash of Champions with a little bit of build? No. Oh, they broke up last week, so we have to have a match this week. The match lasted, 2-3 minutes? Nothing special happened. Billie Kay shows that she still can't fucking wrestle. Kay ends up fighting out of the mat, driving Royce into the corner in the shoulder thrust, more back and forth. Kay rolls up for a 2 count. Kay runs into another big kick from Royce. Royce with a neck breaker in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3, and that was that. Now, after the match, Royce stands tall as some music hits. Both of them got the generic music, which, by the way, if WWE wants to get rid of the CFO stuff, which I don't want Bobby Roode to come back ever. Because WWE wants to ditch all of CFO's music, and CFO's did the Glorious Domination theme that Bobby Roode has had since his NXT debut. Losing that theme will be an absolute travesty. But anyway, what they could have did for this after this match was over with, if they really wanted to push and give us a new version of Peyton Royce, what they did was they had Peyton Royce pick up her fallen ex-friend, hugs Kay, and Kay leaves the ring. What they should have had done was Peyton Royce give her a hug, Kay goes to leave, and Peyton Royce from behind beats the living shit out of her, solidifying her as a heel. And Kay goes off to, yeah. That's where I wanted to go. That's where it should have went to. But that's not where they went to. We go to the video package of Mysterio's versus Seth Rollins and Murphy feud. This thing is still going on. It needs to fucking end. Dominic will face Murphy. We see the entire family arriving in the back. Rey Mysterio's daughter Lita with Angie and Dominic. They have an interview coming up. We see Murphy looking in the background. Back to commercial break. Back from break, and we see what happened earlier with Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton. Charlie Caruso is in the ring with the mic. She brings the Mysterio family out. Ray, wife Angie, daughter Aaliyah, which they had to mention her age. They had to mention the fact that she's like 19 years old, which brought all the creeps out to fawn over and ogle Aaliyah the entire time. Charlie asks Ray for an update on his tricep. He thanks Charlie for having them all here. Unfortunately, he was unable to get payback on Seth Rollins last week. Ray has no exact time for his return for the tricep injury, but he can't wait to get back to the ring and put an end to Rollins. Can we just end it, please? Can we please just end it? I don't need to see anymore. I don't. She asks about tonight's match, and he gets on about how Dominic knows what to do and put the end to Murphy. Charlie asks Dominic about Murphy next. He goes to speak, but Murphy interrupts on the big scream, and he challenges him to a street fight, which, of course, he accepts, and that is going to be your main event tonight. Women's Tag Team Champions Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler will both work handicap matches against the Riot Squad tonight. We see them backstage with Adam Pearce tonight, arguing about the matches. Pearce sees Drew McIntyre walk by and asks why he's still here. He says he had to get his phone out of the ambulance, and he keeps walking. Asuka and Mickie James versus Lana and Natalya. Why is this match happening? By the way, this is the match that we probably would have saw last week, but Vince went, well, we're going to pull off. We're going to hold off just because, obviously, when you have Lana and Natalya attack Mickie James and Asuka last week in the middle of the ring, oh, it's going to be a tag team match right then and there. But no, they didn't do that. They held off like they should have, but now here we go. We have the match a week later. Was it worth a damn? No. Asuka and Mickie James win with an Asuka lock to Lana. Lana should never be in the fucking ring. Ever. And then next week, it'll be Asuka versus Mickie James for the Women's Championship. One thing. I guarantee you this is not going to end in a conclusive finish. Natalya and Lana are going to get involved, they're going to brawl, and we're going to have Natalya versus Lana versus Mickie James versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship at Clash of Champions. What has Mickie James done to earn this championship match, though? She lost. The last time we saw her in a match, she lost by countout to Natalya in a match that was hijacked by Seth Rollins trying to figure out if Rey Mysterio was going to be there. Remember that? Remember that. We see how Cedric Alexander turned on Apollo Crews and Ricochet earlier, helping the Hurt Business. MVP asks Cedric if he's ready to make it official in the VIP lounge. Cedric is all for it. MVP and Lashley walk off. Shelton is left with Cedric. Shelton says this better be real and not some kind of game, because if it is, he will find out and show Cedric why they called the Hurt Business. Back from breaking out come the Hurt Business, MVP Shelton Benjamin and United States Champion Bobby Lashley with Cedric Alexander. They all head to the ring together for the VIP lounge. Cedric just turned heel tonight. They couldn't wait another week. They couldn't wait until next week. Let the beatdown ferment for a week. Let Cedric Alexander have that high of being the guy who turned his back on his best friends, and we open with the VIP lounge next week. That would have made more sense. But no, this right here just shows that Vince McMahon wrote this entire show at last minute. This is something that should have been held off for another week. But he didn't. MVP brags on the mic, introducing a special edition of VIP Lounge. He says, Cedric has made a career-changing decision by joining the Hurt Business. He introduces him as the newest member of the group. Lastly, presents Cedric with the t-shirt. They want to know why he joined. Cedric says he's rather learn and earn instead of being beat down every week. He was going broke, running around with Ricochet. Yeah, I'm sure you were going broke. Multi-million-dollar contract that you signed with WWE, that 5-year deal. Yeah, you're going broke. That makes absolutely no sense. Cedric goes on about sacrificing his career for someone else to get a title shot. He says the Hurt Business is the future. Out comes the Viking Raiders, Ricochet, and Cruz to join them. They all rush the ring, and Big Brawl breaks out. We go to commercial break, and the babyfaces stand tall. What do you think we're going to get? We're going to get a tag team match. Player. We get a tag team, 8-man tag match, the Hurt Business versus the Viking Raiders, Cedric Alexander, and Apollo Crews. And I could give no shit about it. Cedric comes right back in with the Michinoku driver for the pin and the win. Who gives a shit? After the match, the Hurt Business celebrate as the music hits. Officials check on Ivar ringside as he may have injured himself on a dive. Big man like that should lead us to Keith Lee versus Randy Orton, number 3. As you know, the first match was interrupted by Drew McIntyre. He won at Payback. Then he lost last week. Well, he didn't get pinned, but he lost last week in a triple threat match to see who would face Drew McIntyre at the pay-per-view. Which was kind of pointless because Drew McIntyre was going to be facing Randy Orton anyway. But Randy Orton makes his way. Mike Boom does his introduction. Orton poses in the corner. Power goes off. Keith Lee is out next. Back to commercial. Back and break. Here we go. Orton goes right for Lee to the floor for stalling, pointing at his jaw injury from taking on the Claymore. Then he go right at it. Lee blocks for the RKO. Lee shows Orton off the top. And basically what happens is Orton slides out of a suplex and drops Lee in the RKO out of nowhere. Out comes Drew McIntyre out of nowhere, dropping Orton with the Claymore. Drew tells Orton he starts seeing him in his nightmares, you son of a bitch. He stands tall over Orton as we go to replays. Orton marches to the back. Adam Pearce stops him on the stage and yells at him some. Drew heads to the back, and as his music hits, Pearce sends more referees to the ring and they check on Orton, who is down clutching his jaw. How to ruin Keith Lee. Using him as filler for a feud between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Changing his gear. Changing his music not once but twice. Having this guy look like he's already nothing. There's nothing special about him. He just feels like another guy. Typical WWE. This is what they do to everybody. And it's sad. We all were hoping Keith Lee would not feel this. Would not feel the wrath of Vince McMahon. But unfortunately, he feels the wrath of Vince McMahon. And this guy just down. He's already going down spiraling. Yes, beating Randy Orton at Payback in his first pay-per-view match is a big fucking deal. But what has it got him lately? Losing in a triple threat match last week, having another no contest, or losing by DQ, or whatever they want to go with, against Randy Orton because of Drew McIntyre. It's just sad to see what they've done to Keith Lee. One of the biggest fucking deals and the biggest star outside of Adam Cole in NXT for the last 6 or 7 or 8 months. And what have they done? It didn't take them more than a week actually to make this guy feel the same. And it's just sad. I hate it. I fucking hate it. We see Raw Underground. Aleister Black is dominating and enhancement talent in the background. He gets dropped by Black in the finish. Shane says that the real fireworks will begin any minute now when Kevin Owens arrives. Owens walks in, leaps into the ring. They go at it. Owens gets the upper hand. Black fights back, but Owens slams him to the mat. They fight to the floor. Owens rams Black back into the edge of the apron, then slams him to the floor. Shane enters the ring and says he will be right back with more. We see Owens trying to recover on the outside. Back to commercial break. Back from break, and Randy Orton is with Adam Pearce in security. Orton is furious about Drew being allowed in the building tonight. Pearce apologizes and tries to reassure Orton but Orton says his word means nothing. 2-on-1 handicap match, Shayna Baszler versus Riot Squad. After 2 matches back-to-back against 2 of the best women in the company, 2 women who gave Shayna Baszler so much and built this woman up to be a big, huge beast monster who could destroy anybody. What does WWE do here? In less than 3 minutes, they have Liv knocking Baszler off the apron with a drop kick to the leg. More back and forth. Liv kicks Baszler in the leg again. Baszler fights Liv off. Baszler with a gut wrench facebuster and a big kick to Liv. Jax apparently distracts Baszler with a taunting from the ringside, and Liv takes advantage for a sunset flip pin and the win. Shayna Baszler, again, was treated like she should have been against Bayley and Sasha Banks. Killed those women. The finish at Payback was fantastic. What she did to Sasha Banks on Friday was just great. And here she is, getting distracted like a dumb person could, like a dumb wrestler would, only to get beat. It's like, what? What? Wow. Just how terrible can WWE get? We go to Raw Underground. Shane McMahon works the mic as Kevin Owens versus Aleister Black continues on the platform. Back and forth with each other. Ziggler is among those cheering on ringside. Owens ends up fighting off the armbar and slinging back into a wall. Black and Owens are on their feet now, fighting various times at ringside. Shane is trying to restore order as we go back to the ring. 2-on-1 handicap, Nia Jax versus the Riot Squad. And how do you think this went? We go to the ring, then Nia Jax is starting with Rude Riot, while her partner Shayna Baszler is still having words with her from ringside. Riot turns it around on Jax. Liv Morgan tags in, nails a big dropkick to Jax's knee. Baszler taunts her partner, double team in the corner. Liv and Riot frequent tags and keep Jax in the corner. Riot with a big crossbody, and shoulder sends down Jax. Baszler taunts some and then goes to stomp on Riot like Baszler would, but this backfires as her and Riot goes to tag. The lights start flickering around. Could retribution be there? The future fans no longer visible. Liv comes in, the lights flickering, and ends up taking down Jax. The Riot Squad look to put Jax away, but out we see retribution graphic that appears to be the white spray paint. A voice starts speaking and says, "The Thunderdome is only a facade. Behind the mountain of screens is the same foundation from before." You don't say. You don't fucking say. The same behemoth that discarded them and left them in the world to fend for themselves with nothing but scraps. We see the group of masked men and women in the back now. Another man in the group speaks and says they are driven to destroy, to lay waste to every superstar and fan. The blinded cannot see who. What do you not have? He goes on with the promo and mentions how the locust of contempt will feed on everyone else. The mystery man says darkness of retribution will seep into the pores of every superstar in your so-called WWE universe. And we go to the commercial break with it still in the arena, still in blackness. It's about time we had a promo from Retribution. Now, the promo they cut, honestly, if you read it, it feels like it's like these are people who got fired back on the 15th of April. That's what it feels like. This is what this would be. Is that these men and women are people who are going to be shown are going to be people who were fired and are coming back to get retribution because they feel like they shouldn't have been fired, and they got left to fend for themselves because we're in a fucking bullshit pandemic. Like, independent wrestling is not as prominent as it was in the beginning of March. A lot of wrestling companies are not doing anything right now, so that would make sense. If you have like a Tommaso Ciampa or a Dominik Dijakovic turn out to be a part of Retribution, then this promo makes no sense. How were they left to fend for themselves? You were down in NXT showing what you could do, and now you're coming up supposed to be getting retribution for what? For what? That makes absolutely no sense to me. But at least they finally said something. We finally got some kind of promo. Now they need to decide who's gonna be part of Retribution. It's done, it's over, it's time to tell us who it's going to be. Show us one at a time how many members are going to be. Is it going to be 4? Is it going to be 5? Is it going to be 3? Is it going to be 7? Let us know. Get your number down. Decide who's going to be a part of it and why they needed to say. Now, yes, the Thunderdome facade, it's the same people back in the back doing the same shit everywhere. It's the same bad booking, the same bad creative. Vince McMahon is still running the show, so a little bit of Thunderdome trickery is not going to make a damn difference in the end. Back to Sarah Chavez stops the Mysterio family backstage. Ray isn't worried about Murphy's mind games. Ray says the family will be in Dominic's corner tonight, and if Murphy tries anything, Ray is confident his family will know how to act. More around underground, Kevin Owens and Aleister Black continues. A big headbutt stuns them both. They get back up, and Black rocks Owens with a big kick. He gets knocked back to the floor. This upsets Dabo Kato, who is at ringside. He ends up hitting the ring and destroying both Owens and Black. Shane hides underground and praises Dabo Kato as he stands tall in the ring. So that was all this was for, is to get a 5-second spot with Dabo Kato taking down both of those guys. What a waste of fucking time. Charlie approaches Randy Orton backstage in an interview, but Drew McIntyre suddenly attacks. Drew beats Orton around and rolls him into the ring. They have set for the interview. Drew stalks Orton and waits for him to get up. Orton gets up on one knee, and Drew levels him with a big Claymore kick. Back to commercial break. Their security sucks, and we've known this for a long time. Back from break, and announcers promote NXT Super Tuesday tomorrow. Samoa Joe picks Finn Balor to beat Adam Cole for the vacant title. We see all this happening tonight between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Obviously, Orton's winning the championship at Clash of Champions. It's no doubt about it. Street fight, Dominik Mysterio versus Murphy. Dominik Mysterio is looking better and better every single time, but they cannot continue to do street fights in matches like this. They need to have him. He wins this match in the dumbest way fucking possible. Dominik comes back to traps Murphy in the ropes. He unloads with a kendo stick. Ray enters the ring with a stick and addresses the camera, telling Seth he hopes he's watching from home because his payback is a bitch. Father and son unload with the kendo sticks while Murphy is trapped in the ropes. Aaliyah and Angie enter the ring. Aaliyah with a kendo stick to Murphy's exposed ribs. Ray tries to get Angie to swing the stick, but she's not ready. She finally gives in, and the whole family continue delivering kendo stick shots to expose Murphy while he's trapped in the ropes. The referee calls the match. Yes, Dominik Mysterio won because his family decided to get involved and beat the bejesus out of his opponent with kendo sticks. The whole family celebrates as Murphy falls out of the ropes. Murphy is down on the mat now, and the Mysterio family grab the kendo sticks again and unload a dozen more kendo shots to Murphy while he's down. Ron goes off the air with Murphy taking a few dozen more kendo shots, stick shots from Dominik Mysterio. Rey Mysterio, Dominik Mysterio, Angie Mysterio, and Aaliyah Mysterio, because that's what I'm going with. Yep, that's how Dominik wins his next match, is by having his family get involved. It's time to move on. It's time. We don't need to see Dominik versus Murphy or Dominik versus Seth again and again and again and again. Let this guy go and fight the lower end members of the team of the roster. Have him face a Let me think here. Have him face Apollo Crews and beat Apollo Crews if you want to. Have him have him face off against a Ricochet eventually. I wouldn't say now because that would be stupid, but eventually. It's time for this guy to go out and try and show us what he can do against other members of the roster. It's time to move on. If they want to revisit Seth Rollins and Murphy and them later, that is fine, but enough is enough. This needs to end. No more Mysterios versus the Seth Rollins group ever again. We don't need to see any more now. Give us something else. Where do they go from here? I don't know. All I know is I have a feeling the torn tricep put a big damper into whatever they were going to do with Mysterios. I feel they were going to do this with the family thing for a while, in which he turns on the family, beating down his father, and eventually becoming his own man. I wouldn't even call him. I wouldn't even keep the Mysterio name. They want to talk, like Ray and Dominic went on to an interview and talked about maybe him ditching the Dominic name and becoming Prince Mysterio wearing a mask. I wouldn't do that. I mean, Prince Mysterio, he's still in his father's shadow. If they're going to do this heel turn, he's going to need to get away from his father's shadow. He could just give him a different last name. It could be Prince something else. I don't know. But definitely they definitely need to move on and let this guy wrestle other talents. That's just like when Rey Mysterio and Andrade wrestled each other over and over and over and over and over again, and it just never stopped. This needs to stop. This is it. Dominic won. There's nothing else left for them to do. They can have Murphy disappear for a while. They can have Seth Rollins stay away. We do not need to see these guys at a pay-per-view next month. At Clash of Champions. Hold it off till the end of the year. Time for something else. Man, this show felt so rushed. So, like, Cedric Alexander turning heel. That's fine. Fine. It needed to happen. But they couldn't hold off on the official introduction to the Hurt Business till next week. That could have been the best way to start the show, probably, was have an VIP lounge with the newest member introduced to the Hurt Business, Cedric Alexander. And then you have everything else going on there. Shayna Baszler being beat by Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott because of her partner. Give me a fucking break. After everything they had Sasha Banks and Bayley do for her, showing her, putting her over as the best way possible, you're going to do that? You're going to do her that dirty? Wow. This is Monday Night Raw. It sucks. Hit that subscribe button. Comment down below. Like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. And find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I'll see you guys Wednesday for AEW